England's growing housing crisis as homelessness hits an all-time high. The number of those in temporary accommodation has soared to over 100,000 households, stuck in often grim and cramped conditions.
Bed bugs, damp, rat infestations. Yeah, you feel like you are not a human being.
The cost of living crisis has forced many from their homes as private landlords raise rents or even sell up. So is the government's plan to build 300,000 new homes too little, too late? Also tonight. As the Greek fires blaze on and heat records tumble worldwide, scientific proof that climate change is to blame. A serious error of judgment. The boss of NatWest admits discussing Nigel Farage's bank account with the BBC. Basking in their warm Aussie welcome, the Lionesses prepare to face Denmark on Friday. And better late than never, the 101-year-old Wren receiving her wartime medals at last, and others might be eligible too.
This is the ITV Evening News with Mary Nightingale.
Good evening. There has been an alarming increase in the numbers of children and households officially classified as homeless in England, with figures at an all-time high. More than 104,000 households, including 131,000 children, are stuck in temporary accommodation, often in cramped rooms with no cooking or even washing facilities. The rise is being fuelled by landlords selling their properties or reletting, forcing tenants to move. And charities have urged the government to ban no-fault evictions and to accelerate social house building. It comes, of course, just a day after ministers re-pledged their commitment to build 300,000 new homes a year. Our political correspondent, Carl Dinnan, heard from some of those with no place to call home.
Hello, Fuad.
Hello there.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Welcome, please.
So this is the house.
Fuad lost his home when cancer forced him out of his job as a computer engineer. With his wife and 5 children, he's now in a 3-bed house. The family have been in temporary accommodation for 6 gruelling years.
We had to go through so many issues along the way. Bed bugs, damp, rat infestations, being without central heating in the winter for 5 weeks. To just feel, you feel like you are not a human being.
To get people out of temporary accommodation like this, the government says it has built more than 600,000 affordable homes since 2010. And speaking before today's figures were released, the Housing Secretary said they would meet their overall house building targets.
In the last year, we built more homes than for 3 decades. We're going to hit our million homes completed during this Parliament target, and we are making sure that in the future we have a long-term plan for housing that concentrates on delivering houses where it makes the most economic and environmental sense, and that means in particular concentrating on our cities.
But today's figures show that between January and March, more than 104,000 households were in temporary accommodation. That's up 10% since last year. Those households included 131,000 children, also up 10%. And the biggest single cause affecting 38% of households needing help is the loss of private rented accommodation. A government bill is supposed to make evictions more difficult.
The government needs to continue its work on the Renters Reform Bill in Parliament as soon as possible, and that's because we're seeing more people evicted into homelessness than we've ever seen from the private rented sector. And secondly, the government has got to build social homes. It's fine talking about building homes, but only social homes are going to solve this emergency.
Last month, Prince William launched a campaign to end homelessness within 5 years.
This will inspire belief throughout the UK and beyond that homelessness can be ended for good.
But it's a big problem, and he's starting at a time when it is getting worse. Carl Dinnan, ITV News.
Well, our political correspondent Harry Horton is in Westminster for us tonight. Now, Harry, the government has been talking, hasn't it, a lot about building new homes in the last couple of days. But this is urgent, isn't it? This is a need that is happening right now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There has been lots of talk in the last few days. Michael Gove yesterday championing changes to planning laws that he hopes will allow things like shops, for example, to turn into new homes. Also, as you heard in Carl's report, they're talking about the government's target to build 1 million new homes by the time of the next election. But as you say, look, housing shortages is nothing new, and these figures today reveal the scale of the challenge facing tens of thousands of people across the country. Now, critics say that the whole system is broken. They say that councils are spending more money than ever before on supporting people in temporary accommodation. They point out that the government has frozen housing benefit over the last 3 years, whilst private rent has shot up, forcing more people, pricing more people out of their private rented homes. Now, the government says it has been trying to tackle the issue. They point out that they've spent more than £2 billion over the last three years helping councils support people struggling with homelessness. The government also says that temporary accommodation should be a last resort, but it's clear from the figures today that for thousands of people across the country, it's a permanent fixture of their day-to-day lives.
OK, Harry Horton in Westminster. Thank you. Now, the extreme heat scorching southern Europe, North Africa and the United States would be virtually impossible without climate change caused by humans. That is the damning conclusion of a new scientific study, which has made a rapid analysis of the intense heat waves this summer. It came as wildfires spread to Palermo in Sicily, forcing the closure of its airport there. Our correspondent Emma Murphy has the latest from across the region.
With one natural resource, they seek to save another. Scooping water from the sea to douse the flames engulfing the land. Fires now threaten thousands of hectares in the north of Corfu.